No one notices strange sounds on the very first night. Old houses are never completely silent, especially after midnight. They breathe, creak, and shift as temperatures change. Walls expand, floors settle, and distant noises feel ordinary. This house behaved the same way. Nothing felt unusual. Nothing felt dangerous. And that false sense of normality is why no one paid attention. The family had moved in only a few days earlier. They were still unpacking boxes and arranging furniture. The neighborhood was quiet and calm. The rent was cheap enough to feel like good luck. Tall wooden walls promised privacy and comfort. It looked like the kind of place where nothing bad ever happened. A place meant to feel safe. At exactly 2:13 a.m., the sound began. 3 soft knocks came from the bedroom wall. Not loud enough to startle anyone awake. Not soft enough to be ignored. The rhythm was slow and evenly spaced. Careful, almost polite, as if something was asking for permission. The father sat up in bed, listening closely. He focused on the sound, trying to identify it. Old pipes, he thought, wood reacting to cold night air. Every old house makes strange noises after midnight. That explanation felt reasonable. And reasonable explanations are easy to accept in the dark. But the knocking came again. Same rhythm, same timing, same exact spot on the wall. It didn't echo or change like random noise. It repeated itself perfectly. That's when it stopped feeling accidental. Felt intentional. The mother leaned closer and whispered, "Did you hear that just now?" Her voice was barely audible. The moment the words left her mouth, the knocking stopped. Not slowly, not naturally. It stopped instantly, as if something had chosen silence. Morning arrived and erased the fear. Sunlight filled the rooms and softened every shadow. The walls looked harmless again. Solid. Empty. Fear never survives daylight for long. By breakfast, the sound felt distant. Something easily dismissed. That night, the knocking returned. But this time, it came from a different wall. Same 3 taps. Same careful rhythm. Only the location had changed. The sound had moved. And that was harder to explain. Over the next few nights, the sound began to travel. From the bedroom to the hallway. From the hallway to the living room. Sometimes close. Sometimes distant. Always present. Always just out of sight. They inspected every wall carefully during the day. They searched for holes or loose panels. They listened for animals inside the walls. They found nothing unusual at all. No explanation. No answers. The house remained silent. At exactly 2:13 a.m., the knocking returned again. 3 taps. Perfectly spaced. Perfectly timed. Unchanged from the first night. It no longer felt like a noise. Felt like a signal being repeated. The father raised his hand and knocked back once. The sound echoed briefly through the wall. Then there was silence. For a moment, everything felt normal again. Then the wall knocked back. Once. With equal force. The response was perfect. Same timing. Same pressure. There was no delay. No hesitation. It felt deliberate. As if something on the other side was learning how to respond. Their child was the first to say it out loud. "There's someone in the walls." The words were quiet, simple, certain, spoken without fear, and that certainty made them impossible to ignore. They laughed nervously to break the tension. Children imagine things. Children exaggerate. But that night, the knocking moved closer. Closer to the child's bedroom wall. Closer than it had ever been before. Soft scratching followed the knocks. Slow dragging sounds inside the walls. Not frantic. Not violent. Measured movements. Like fingers exploring unfamiliar space. The mother pressed her ear against the wall. She felt vibration beneath the surface. Movement where nothing should exist. Something shifting inside the wood. Something alive and aware. Then came the whisper. Not words. Just breath brushing against the wall. Warm. Close. Too human to be imagined. Too real to ignore. They called professionals the following day. Inspectors searched the house from top to bottom. They checked the attic and the crawl spaces. They found no hollow areas, no hidden rooms, nothing that explained the sounds. That night, the knocking changed. It grew louder, faster, more impatient. The careful rhythm was gone. Something wanted attention now. A thin crack appeared in the wall, barely noticeable at first glance. Behind it was only darkness. No depth, no visible end. Just empty black space. The knocking came from everywhere at once. From the walls, from the ceiling, from the floor beneath their feet. The house no longer felt hollow, felt occupied. They packed their belongings before sunrise. No explanations, no second thoughts. They left quietly and quickly. They never looked back. The house stood empty after that. No lights, no voices, only silence filling the rooms, and the sense that something was waiting. Weeks later, a new family moved in. Fresh paint covered the walls. New furniture filled the rooms. Laughter replaced silence. They didn't know what came before. At exactly 2:13 a.m., they heard 3 careful knocks. Slow, deliberate, coming from inside the walls.